The Little Thief in the Garden. Once upon a time, in a peaceful forest, there was a little rabbit named Bong. Bong's fur was as soft as cotton, his ears were always perked up, listening attentively, and his eyes sparkled with curiosity. He loved to explore and hop around, especially to places his mother told him not to go. Every morning, when the golden sunlight filtered through the leaves, Mother Rabbit would take Bong for a walk around their burrow and teach him about safety in the forest. One day, as they stood under a tall tree, Mother Rabbit looked down at her little bunny, her gaze gentle but serious.
Don't remember this well. Although this forest is beautiful and full of wonders, it's also full of dangers. Never go far from me, and don't chase after strange things without me, okay?
Bong nodded obediently, but in his heart, he thought, I'm big now. I can take care of myself. Feeling confident, he decided he'd find a chance to sneak off on an adventure one day, and soon enough, his chance came. One morning, while his mother was out gathering food and had reminded him carefully to stay close, Bong spotted a colorful butterfly fluttering near their burrow. Its wings shimmered in the sunlight like a little rainbow gliding through the forest. Bong watched for a while, excitement bubbling up inside him, and he couldn't resist leaping after it.
I'll just take a quick look,
he thought to himself, and chased the butterfly, hopping over tree roots and gliding through tall grass until he reached a place he'd never been before. Finally, he stopped, breathing heavily. Bong realized he'd arrived at a large garden full of carrots. Rows of lush green carrot tops lined up perfectly, and in the air, the sweet scent of ripe carrots wafted around. Bong swallowed, his heart racing with excitement. Then he noticed a small wooden box lying on the grass, with delicious-smelling carrots hanging inside.
Oh, this must be a gift from the forest for me.
Bong thought excitedly, and he jumped right into the box to eat. He didn't think twice about how strange it was that the carrots were right within reach, perfectly arranged, and so inviting. But as soon as he touched them, snap! The box lid closed tight. Bong was startled and tried jumping out, but he couldn't. It was a trap the farmer had set to protect his carrot garden from sneaky little thieves like him. Bong was terrified, his big round eyes widening in fear as he trembled all over.
What have I done?
He whispered to himself, and his mother's warnings echoed in his mind. When the sun was high in the sky, the farmer came to check his trap. He found the little rabbit inside, trembling with frightened, sad eyes. At that moment, his granddaughter Lan ran over. Lan had long black hair, big round eyes, and rosy, chubby cheeks.
Grandpa, this rabbit is so cute. What did she do?
Lan asked, her eyes full of curiosity.
Well, dear, this rabbit sneaked into our carrot garden and tried to steal some. We'll need to move him far away to protect our carrots.
The farmer replied, his gaze stern but a little sympathetic. Seeing the frightened, teary-eyed little rabbit, Lan felt a wave of compassion. She bent down and gently said to him,
You didn't know you were stealing, did you?
Bong lowered his head, his voice shaky as he whispered,
Actually, I just thought the carrots smelled so good and that it would be okay to take a little bite.
The farmer heard this and chuckled. After a moment of thought, He nodded.
All right, I'll let you go this time. But remember, be more careful next time. Not everyone will be so forgiving.
Land beamed with joy and gently opened the trap, and Bong leapt out immediately. He didn't forget to thank the farmer and Lan before racing straight home. When he arrived home, Bong rushed into his mother's embrace, telling her the whole story with deep regret. Mother Rabbit listened, sighed, then patted his head, saying kindly,
"See, I told you so. Always listen to the advice of those who care about you, my dear."
From that day on, Bong became much more careful and never let his curiosity lead him astray again. Every time he went for a walk with his mother, he stayed right by her side, and if anyone asked, Bong would simply smile and say,
Mom always knows what's best for me.
Vocabulary words with definitions and examples from the story The Little Thief in the Garden. 1. Curiosity, a strong desire to learn or know something. Example, Bien Yi's curiosity led him to explore the forest despite his mother's warnings. 2. Obediently in a way that shows willingness to comply with orders or requests. Example, Bien nodded obediently to his mother's advice about staying close. 3. Lush, of plants, growing thickly and healthily. Example, the garden was filled with lush green carrot tops. 4. Shimmered to shine with a flickering or wavering light. Example, the butterfly's wings shimmered in the sunlight, catching Bien Yi's attention. 5. Trap a device or situation designed to catch or deceive someone. Example, the farmer set a trap to protect his carrot garden from thieves like Bien Yi. 6. Terrified, extremely frightened or scared. Example, Bien was terrified when the trap closed around him. 7. Sympathetic, showing compassion or understanding for someone's feelings or situation. Example, the farmer's gaze was stern, but there was a sympathetic look in his eyes. 8. Compassion, a deep feeling of sympathy and concern for the suffering of others, often accompanied by a desire to help. Example, Lan felt compassion for the little rabbit caught in the trap. 9. Beamed to smile with happiness or pride. Example, Lan beamed with joy when the farmer decided to release Bien Yi. 10. Regret, a feeling of sadness or disappointment over something that has happened or been done. Example, Bien felt deep regret as he shared the story of his mistake with his mother. Phrases with definitions and examples from the story The Little Thief in the Garden. 1. Trembling with fear, shaking or quivering due to fear or anxiety. Example, Bien was trembling with fear as he realized he had been caught in the trap. 2. Caught in the act, to be found doing something wrong or forbidden. Example, Bien was caught in the act of trying to steal the carrots from the garden. 3. In the blink of an eye, in an instant, very quickly. Example, in the blink of an eye, the trap snapped shut, trapping Bien inside. 4. Learn a valuable lesson to gain wisdom or understanding from an experience, usually after making a mistake. Example, after his adventure, Bien learned a valuable lesson about listening to his mother's advice. 5. Out of curiosity, motivated by a desire to learn or understand something. Example, Bien chased the butterfly out of curiosity, leading him into the farmer's garden. 6. With deep regret, a strong feeling of sorrow or remorse about something. Example, Bien returned home with deep regret, realizing the mistake he had made. 7. On the lookout for to be watching carefully for something or someone, usually to find or catch it. Example, the farmer was always on the lookout for animals that might steal his crops. 8. A wave of compassion, a strong, sudden feeling of sympathy for someone in a difficult situation. Example, Len felt a wave of compassion when she saw the frightened rabbit in the trap. 9. Jump to conclusions to make a decision or form an opinion without having all the facts. Example, the farmer didn't jump to conclusions. Instead, he listened to BNG's side of the story before acting. 10. To get into trouble to become involved in a difficult or problematic situation, usually due to wrongdoing. Example, Bien got into trouble when he ignored his mother's warning and went too far from home.